What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Daily Grind. I'm your host, Chump Change. This is live and recorded. For those of you that might be new here, we typically do is go over crypto news or news in general in the space. I update myself, bring you guys along for the ride. Happy Friday. I started that a little weird. Sorry, hit the wrong button. Anyways, let's see who's here in the chat and we'll go from there. Mr. Geek of all trades. Good to see you, buddy. Andrew Masad, what's up, man? We got Game with Smokey Dan, All Track, Black Hat Team. Good to see you, buddy. Nismo Miner, what's up, man? What's up, man? A Game with Smokey Dan, Daddy Chill, my man. Good to see you, buddy. Steven Cicero, what's up, buddy? All set. Dakota Miner, you guys are awesome. Let's get into this. All right, Bitcoin over here, 59,975 bucks, making me look like a liar. I had on the title, Bitcoin back to 60K.
Bruh.
What in the hell? Hopefully it jumps back up, but there we go. There we go. All right, let's start it over. $60,020 over here on Bitcoin. We have Ethereum at $25.95, up 5.78%. As of right now, we get Solana 153 bucks, XRP 57 cents. Man, XRP is like a soft porn. It gets you going and then it just completely fails. It's like every single time this thing jumps up, it just takes a shit the next day. It is insane. We have ADA over here, 33 cents. CASP is at 16 cents. Yeah, so a little under 16 and a half, just about. We have ETC at 19.11 over here. We got LTC at $59. I think LTC is a great steal right now, to be honest. Again, it's one of those coins that are it always comes back with the bull run, right? It's accepted pretty much everywhere when it comes to crypto payments. Like Litecoin right now is a freaking steal in my opinion. Dogecoin 10 cents, looking pretty decent. Crow, look at that. This is the crypto.com token. Interesting. 23.28%. I don't think I have any more of this. I think I sold it a while ago, actually. It's only at 9 cents. Damn. So you know what, this coin, I have no affiliation with crypto.com, but their card that they have, you have to hold a $4,000 value of Crow to be able to get, like, you know, a $10 compensation for like Netflix or some shit. Like there's like a bunch of different things you can get compensated on, like I don't know if it's Spotify or Netflix, I forget, to be honest, but they have like a bunch of different things. But I know when the price pumps on that coin, you can actually reach out to them and ask them to reevaluate your card and get you the better stuff. So keep that in mind if anybody has that card. I don't have one personally, but all right, yeah, nothing else really jumping out at me. Injective, I guess, up 9% just about today, $17. Crypto Mikkel, what's up, dude? Good to see you. Good morning, sir. Good morning. If you guys don't know who Crypto Mikkel is, go check out his channel. He's a great YouTuber. He's actually been around before me. All right, let's move on to Crypto Bubbles. We got Celestia and Sui's actually the most profitable today, 26.4% on the day. Interesting. Crow's at 24.3. Let's see, what is Sui at? 84 cents. Not too bad. Crow's at, again, 9.8, almost 10 cents, 24.3%. Celestia over here, 21.4%, $5.57. You know what, BitTensor, where is it? Right here, 8.3% up on the day. I think this one might be a decent buy too. 297 bucks. I kind of want to get some, but I can't get it in my Tangem, so it's kind of like, yeah, I don't know. Where can I hold it? Does anybody know where can I hold Teo? BitTensor, please let me know in the chat. Sorry. Dude, that's how I used to say it. I didn't know what the hell it was called. No, but for real, I don't know where to hold it. Can you get this on Coinbase? Let me know in the chat if you can. But I would like to get some of that, to be honest. Personally, I think it's going to do well. HNT 14.4%, $5.85. We have Say over here, 13.8% on the day, 28 cents. Not too bad. Yeah, nothing else really jumping on at me, guys. All right, flashbang, let's see what we're looking like today. Fear and Greed Index is at a 48.
Bruh.
Damn, that jumped pretty hard. Extreme Fear yesterday from a 20 to 48. You think it's on Coinbase? All right, Geek of all trades, thank you, buddy.
Perfect.
Appreciate it. And we're at it neutral today, 48. That is kind of crazy. That is kind of crazy jump. We don't want things to jump that high. That's when you start seeing uncertainty and people start pulling back and selling shit again. You see another dump. That's kind of why I said, is there another dump looming? I don't want to see this thing start jumping back up here to like the greed section, right? We get up to 57. That's, well, I think it's over 50 is greed, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, I don't know, you don't want this needle to move that fast. Like that's a lot of movement for this needle. So I don't know, it's gonna be real hairy. Oh, look at this. All right, let's get over here. What are the trending coins over here on CoinGecko? We got Tashi over here, 26.3% up. AIT Protocol up 15.2%. And is it Genin or Genin? I don't know how to say that. The cat. Some bullshit meme coin. Dude, these meme coins kill me every single time. It never gets old. All right, top 10 coins by coin market cap on CoinGecko. We got Bitcoin, Ethereum, Tether, BNB, Solana, USDC, XRP, Lido Staked Ether, Toncoin, and Dogecoin in 10th place. We got $14.9 billion market cap for Dogecoin. Cardano, I think, is a steal right now at 33 cents. I actually got a bunch at 30. I think I put 800 bucks in, about 32 cents maybe. It was around there, I forget. Just $12 billion market cap. Actually, it's pretty much even. Not too bad. Let's see real quick. BNB and Solana, weren't they fighting? Yeah, they were swapping spots yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. Solana was above BNB, but it's down at a $71 billion market cap, and BNB is at a 73 billion. Crazy. Bitcoin's at a 1.1 trillion. Anybody didn't know. All right, scrolling down here, Litecoin 22nd place, 59 bucks. Again, I think it's a freaking steal. It is over 80% down on the, from its all-time high 3 years ago in the last bull run. This is kind of for me personally, I like to look at coins that are over 80% down, and those are the coins I'll invest into. Obviously, granted, they're decent coins, not just complete shit coins, but overall, that's kind of how I do it. I like to see coins that are underperforming right now, because in the long term, I think they'll pay off. Caspa is in 24th place over here at a $3.9 billion market cap. That looks crazy, actually. 88 for the win. Yeah, Andrew Masad, I think it's going to do great, to be honest. I think ADA is super undervalued. They don't advertise and all this other shit. And Charles Hodgkinson is he's a smart dude, man. He's freaking smart, and he's he's making it like an entire ecosystem on its own, and it's very interesting. There's a lot involved in ADA. Ethereum Classic, 19 bucks. I think this is a decent coin to maybe solo mine now, to be honest. I actually have my jazz miners off, but I do want to put them on the next couple sunny days. I'm gonna start getting these back on solo mining and do a test, see what I can nail on that with solar. Yeah, that's gonna do it. Render, $4.84, $1.8 billion, just about $1.9 billion market cap. I think Render is gonna do well as well. All right, let's move on to the mining segment of things. See what we're looking like over here. No, I don't want to give you my email. All right, Bitmain Antminer AL1 Pro over here on ASIC miner value. Release date is in September. This is the 16.6 terahash unit, $433 a day. These things are going down daily by like 50 bucks. Wasn't it like in the 70s, 470s yesterday or something? I don't know. These things are, man, I'd be shocked if they're about 200 when people get them. We have the AL1 15.6 terahash unit making $407 a day. Listen, this is still fantastic, but when they charge you a price of a minivan, it's one of those things you just, I don't know. I couldn't do it. It doesn't have wheels, man. I ain't buying nothing for 40 grand. I'm sorry. Unless it's a Bitcoin. Like, I'd buy Bitcoin, but I ain't buying no miner that's it's too big of a gamble for me. KS5 Pro 21 terahash unit making $26.63 a day. It's going down slowly over here. If the music's too loud, guys, let me know also. My guess is around $150 to Scott Sheffield. Yeah, for this unit. Yeah, it's dude, I'd be shocked if it's about 200. Really, I said that like a fifth when it was showing $1,000 bucks. I said like a fifth of the price, maybe, if you're lucky. The KS5 20 terahash unit making $25.36 a day. The AL Box 2. Shout out to my man Andrew Masad in the chat. He's getting the hash rate right now. Appreciate all my VIPs. You guys are awesome. So he's making $18 a day right now. So I got that running for 24 hours. I'm going to go on to the next person in my VIP chat. If you guys aren't in Discord, go check it out. Links down below. I think the link's down below. If not, it's on my homepage. Go check it out. The Ice River KS5M 15 terahash unit making $16.26 a day. The Antminer L9 over here, 16 gigahashes, making $12.26 a day. I don't think this unit's actually out yet. I think it comes out in, I think it's going to be coming out in like September or something, right? Shipping. If anybody's got one of these, please let me know in the chat. I doubt it, but I don't know. These units, man, again, they've been profitable throughout the bear market, so I guess we'll have to see. Not this one specifically, the L7 specifically. Yeah, I don't know. Max, what's up, dude? Good to see you. Thanks for being here. Good morning, sir. Who has a G1 miner? I want one. That thing just stays making bank for years. Does it really? The G1? The iPolo G1? Does this mine grin? It does. Oh, Mimblewimble. That's what that symbol is. I didn't know that. Interesting. Dude, I don't... Grin's like the OG meme, isn't it? Does it have any use case? Does anybody know? I don't know anything about Grin. I've never had it, but that's kind of neat. The iPolo G1, $10 a day. That's pretty interesting. That is pretty interesting, actually. Mr. Geek of all trades, we're gonna have to get some. We're gonna have to email some companies. We're gonna have to get these iPolos out to us. It came out in 2020 and hasn't been read ever since. Really interesting. But you know what? I don't think, has the L7 ever been read? I don't think it has, to be honest. Everything I've noticed has never been read either on the L7. So I mean, tried and true machines. Antminer L7 9050. You guys know I got this thing down Terra Hosting. If you guys are interested in hosting, go check them out. They're awesome. 10 cents kilowatt hour for one single unit over there. Yeah, that's my 9050. I'm making $3.27 a day. It's not much, but it's better than nothing, right? My S19K, I don't want to talk about that today. It's Friday. I don't want to be depressed, but that's losing a couple bucks a day. Let's see. The KS3M over here. Anybody got one of these still? Oh my God. It's only making $1.61 a day.
Bruh.
That's really bad. That is awful. The KS3 8 terahash unit making $5.34 a day. God damn. Replacing fans on an L7 as we speak. Crypto Mikel, that's awesome. Dude, your job, I wish I had a job like that. It's amazing being able to work on a farm all day. Ice River ALO over here. 400 gigahashes. These things I don't think have shipped yet. $10.41 a day. How's the lithium looking right now? Today, actually. Let's see. Oh, if I could spell right. Let's see. $1.61. I think it's the same as yesterday, or pretty close to it. Yeah, pretty close to it. I really wonder if Bitmain's gonna artificially pump the price of lithium. If they don't, man, these miners are not gonna sell. They're not gonna be able to sell them. I think it's inevitable that we're gonna have a pump, but I think it's gonna sell off fairly quick. So you guys just please, for the love of God, be careful if you guys are gonna buy these. But yeah, if you're gonna buy an ALO from Ice River, feel free. Code CHUMP actually gets you 2.5% off. But yeah, I don't care either way. If you guys buy these things, I would not recommend buying miners right now. I would just buy the coin. I think you're gonna make out better. That's my personal opinion. Nothing against these companies, but just being honest. The Ice River KS0 Ultra making 41 cents a day.
Bruh.
What the
Fuck, dude, spit on that.
I'm very disappointed right now. I'm very disappointed in that price. We have the Ice River KS2. Look at this. The Ultra is actually still above the KS2 in profitability by 3 cents. The 2 terahash unit, 1200 watts. This is because of the electricity rate, obviously. 38 cents. Crazy. The iPolo G1 Mini. Look at this. You should get one of these, Mr. Geek of all trades. You can get, it's 120. Oh, this thing's actually not bad. 120 watts, 29 cents a day. I mean, I just like that because of solar stuff, to be honest. But 29 cents a day, it's obviously peanuts. Let's see. I got the X4Q over here. This thing would be making 28 cents a day if I was just mining Ethereum Classic. Interesting. I didn't think that would be profitable. Oh, I guess it's at 10 cents kilowatt hour. Yeah, so everything's pretty much profitable. The X41U, well, I don't want to say everything, but the X41U is even making 14 cents a day. That's only 240 watts. That's pretty sweet. Where's the X16Q? What the hell's that making today? X16Q, $1.19 a day. Man, should I not solo mine and just pool mine? At least I'd be making something a day. I don't know. Damn. Let's build a site that shows profitability on miners over time. A line chart like BTC price chart showing trends of profits over time. I'll just sit there and look pretty. You can make the whole thing. Actually, you know what? Have ChatGPT make that for us. That'd be fantastic. Geek of all trades, I'm down though. We can do whatever you'd like. I'll do that with you. It'd be fantastic, actually. All right, moving on to GPUs. Let's see what we got over here. Ironfish. Ergo, top of the charts, the 170HX. We got the 4070 Ti, Bitcoin Gold, Nexa, and Ironfish, and Pyron. Interesting. How's Pyron doing, actually? Pyron, 11.33% up on the day to a penny. Look at that. It's been taking a shit. Honestly, Unminable killed this one. Unminable buried this coin. The future is non-existent because of Unminable. It hit 20 cents. You guys remember that? You guys remember that? When we were all excited about Pyron, and then it just yeah. Unminable ruined it. I love Unminable, don't get me wrong, but they definitely ruined it. Fully Electric, what's up, dude? Good to see you. Game with Smokey Dan. Did you see the Hawk Tua girl in Bill Maher's show? Yeah, I did. She got a new saying now. Oh god, I don't know what that is. I don't know what the saying is, or maybe I do. I forget. God, I was watching it last night. It was a clip of it. What the hell did she say? I forget what it was. She couldn't pronounce something and he was making fun of her. I think that's what you're talking about. All right, moving on. Ironfish beats the BC 250. We got Ergo, Ironfish, Pyron. So you guys, I mean, got a bunch of shit to choose from. Grin, Xano, 3070 Ti laptop. Please don't mind the laptops. It's terrible. Bad idea. Yeah, guys, I would honestly, if you're not making much on any of this shit, just buy the coin. Don't spend the money on electric bills. Just buy the coin, my opinion. All right, moving on. Let's see. Market sell-off has been so severe, the gains on the year are almost gone. That sounds terrible. Woo. Let's see what they got to say over here on CNBC television. This is posted about 2 hours ago. Let's do it.
Let's get a closer look at the technicals after a volatile week. Joining us now, Carter Worth Charting founder and CEO. Carter, great to see you.
Thank you.
So
well,
we've got the benefit
please.
of hindsight. So what do you make of the action this week?
Yeah, I mean, a couple things come to mind. The first thing, of course, is that as of now, it's all fairly normative. Let's just put it in context. We know that the high for now was the 16th of July, and this sell-off is 14 sessions in the making as of Monday's low, down 9.7%. To put that in context, there have been 241 instances in the inception of the S&P in 1927 where you've had a 5% plus sell-off. And the average decline is 8.2. The median is 11.8. So put those numbers in perspective. 8.2 down, 11.8, and this one's 9.7, smack dab in the middle of the average and the median. In terms of duration, 3 weeks. They typically last 3 or 4. But here's the issue.
I'm going to bump this up to 1.2.
In my mind, that's average, medium. And typically, that's not coming from such a complacent setup, right? We know we'd gone one of the longest stretches in 15 years without a 2% move down or up. And because of the steep and uncorrected nature of the preceding advance before this 9.7% sell-off, my hunch is that this one will not be average or median, and just off we go to the races, that it'll be longer in terms of magnitude or duration.
Carter, what was most notable in terms of how the market sold off is that even so far this week, the Mag 7 have underperformed the S&P 500, the NASDAQ, their benchmarks like the SOX. What do you make of that as an underlying current within this sell-off and the ability of the markets to stage a comeback, so to speak?
That's right. So much capital is there. The hope was that this rotation, of course, would save the overall market in the sense that if and as money came out of the leaders, it is, that the money would go into smaller cap, into value names. It did. But those would hold their gains. In fact, the small cap stocks had given back just as much, the IWM, the Russell 2000, as the Mag 7 and others. And so the reset that we've had, again, while normal, my hunch is that because of the steep and uncorrected nature of the preceding ascent before the sell-off began, that we won't escape with just a normal sell-off. And just one other thing to consider, the sell-off is so severe at this point that basically the gains on the year are almost gone. Consider that the S&P is up, 11.2% year to date, but the performance of the average stock is up 4%, and the performance of the median stock is up 4.2. So again, the index, its year to date performance is still so driven by those super cap mag names, and those are the ones that still look as though they're under pressure.
Are they under pressure technically, Carter? I mean, do you think that there's anything in the chart that leads you to believe that they will continue to underperform?
Yes. So the circumstance that's common to most of those is that they all had heavy volume drops and gaps. So they have been weak with the market 2, 3, 4 weeks. And then news-related earnings drops and gaps. That happened in Microsoft, it happened in Amazon, among others, and we'll see about NVIDIA. But at this point, because of the severe nature of that selling, the aggressive and what you would call distribution, that's what the word is when you drop in gap and the volume's 4- and 5-fold, you don't get out of that, recover from that quickly. And so if and as those do work lower and the small cap had given back all their gains, or the so-called great super regional banks that were doing so well, all give back gains, it doesn't feel like the setup for higher from here.
There's a lot of focus, no surprise, on NVIDIA specifically, Carter, particularly when a lot of the hyperscalers came out, reaffirmed or moved higher their estimates for CapEx on AI specifically. So, the fundamentals seem to be intact, but armchair technicians will look back to June 20th to a key reversal day for NVIDIA in terms of hitting a new high, then closing on the lows on very heavy volume. As a real technician, Carter, do you think we'll look back on that day and say that was a watershed moment? Because it really did sort of precede the sellout that we've been witnessing since the beginning of July.
Yes, those are very important days. They're key reversal days, and they happen, and you're citing it exactly right, on lows, and the market had one on the low of October of 2022. What it represents is there's a crescendo, either panic selling, which is coming on the heels of selling, in this case, panic buying. Something's going higher and higher, and yet at some point, there's no one left. And then intraday, almost like a child slipping from the chin-up bar, exhausted, out of buyers, no one's left, and it goes down and down and down. We are down substantially. Semi's down some 25% almost as an aggregate, and NVIDIA down. And so in many ways, what NVIDIA says will help encourage the bulls, but we're still so far down, it would take a lot to recoup those losses. My hunch for the market is that the highs are in for the year.
I want to end with a bright spot, Carter, and that's a stock you think will go higher. You put out a note recently, I think, and you said you like Exxon.
Yeah, I mean, in a way, that's it's kind of a defensive name, and obviously it has two circumstances that are quite bullish. One, how much better it acts than its other energy supercap names, whether it's integrated or drillers, what have you, but also its relative performance to the S&P. And finally, this is a stock that's been in a 2-year range, has not made a new high, as of course the general equity market has. And I think Exxon's a great place to be, both as an offensive but also a defensive consideration.
Amazing. All right, Mr. Fully Electric, real quick, in the chat is saying we should look at this. Is this the coin, Fully Electric? Fast token? He said it's the only coin that seems to just be going up and not caring about what's going on in the market. January 20th, 2023. So it's been out for quite some time. Over a year anyways. Huh. Interesting. Maybe we'll have to look at this, guys. This is some if you don't know Fully Electric, he's an OG and he knows a lot. So take that with a grain of salt. You're all adults, no financial advice, but listen, that's actually a pretty freaking, that's a confident chart. What does this coin do actually? Does anybody know? Let me know. I'm gonna have to look into this a little bit. I don't even know what it is, to be honest. So I will dig into that in a second. Let's move on to NVIDIA. NVIDIA's fundamentals are still extremely strong. It says BofA Securities. Let's see what they got to say. Again, this was posted about an hour ago. Let's do it.
NVIDIA and other chip stocks surge over 5% Thursday as tech led a market rebound. Joining us now with more on the sector is BofA Securities Senior Research Analyst Vivek Arya. Vivek, great to have you with us. And I know we highlighted the 6% gain that NVIDIA saw yesterday, but if you take a look for the week, NVIDIA is actually underperforming the Philadelphia Semiconductor Index. NVIDIA's down about 2%, and the SOX is up almost 3%. And there have been doubts since probably that June 20th key reversal date where NVIDIA shares hit a new high and then closed on lows, where the stock has really been struggling. So where do you come out on how the stock is valued and if there was just too much hype in the stock?
Good morning, Melissa. So I think practically speaking, whether it's NVIDIA, whether it's the rest of the semiconductor space, we could stay volatile until NVIDIA reports later this month, and we have the required reset in any delays associated with their new Blackwell chip, which I think is actually not that big. But if we take a step back, we have to separate what's happening in the market from the fundamental side. I think what's happening in the market and the volatility has nothing to do with semis. But this is where all the gains were because AI was the best game in town. And that's why these companies saw the most drawdown also during this volatility. But let's look at the fundamental side. Number one, every one of NVIDIA's top customers, whether it is Amazon, whether it is Meta or Microsoft or Google, they all said they are investing more, not less, in AI. Number two, if you look at NVIDIA's top supplier, Taiwan Semi, they had very strong outlook. In fact, this morning they gave very strong guidance for their last month of results. And number three, if you look at NVIDIA's top system partner, Supermicro, I know they got dinged on the margin side, but if you actually look at the sales growth that they showed for the next 12 months, up 90%, that is 2 times what people are modeling for NVIDIA's growth, and NVIDIA usually outgrows them. So I think the fundamentals are still extremely strong, but the market is going to go through its volatility, which we think should subside by the time NVIDIA reports its results, because the fundamentals are very strong. And the final point on valuation, if I take the Mag 7 outside of NVIDIA, they are trading, and the broad market, it's trading roughly 2 times its earnings growth for next year. NVIDIA is trading 0.8 times, right? So it's trading less than 30 times for over 35 to 40% earnings growth. So I think fundamentals are strong and valuation is still very compelling.
Unless there's a doubt on the earnings growth. and I guess that's the key part of the equation where we'll get some more guidance from NVIDIA. In terms of the reports of the delay to the Blackwell chip, the reports first came out of the information. And I'm wondering, it's interesting because when we hear about delays to other hardware items, you think about it, is it going to be a sale denied or a sale delayed? So in your view, these are sales that will be delayed, correct? That these sales...
Mr. Crypto KJ, thanks for being a member for 15 months.
Perfect.
So just saying, cough, cough, ale bucks too. All right, I'll put you on next.
Sales will actually happen. It's just maybe it's pushed out a quarter, 2 quarters, whatever.
Yeah, so if we look at demand for NVIDIA's Hopper product, which is the product before Blackwell, demand for that is off the charts right now. And that's what we heard from Supermicro. They got it well above consensus, and a lot of that is actually based on the Hopper product, because we just have had this period of insane supply constraints in the industry. And just because Blackwell is delayed a little bit doesn't mean the supply constraints have gone away. So any customer who can put their hands on Hopper is still able to buy that product. Now, when it comes to Blackwell, there are many different versions of Blackwell. The most extreme versions that are in the highest, most densest version of the rack scale architecture, they are perhaps pushed out by a quarter or so. So that, I think, can be reflected in numbers. But when it comes to other versions of Blackwell, I do think that they will start to ship some Blackwell later this year. But the key point is that demand in combination of Hopper and Blackwell, I still think is extremely strong for them.
I want to go elsewhere.
I gotta bump them up again. Geek of all trades, thanks for being a member for 23 months, dude.
Perfect.
You're insane. You don't have to pay to be a member. I appreciate you though. Thank you so much.
In the chip space, AMD is having a pretty good week actually, and they've really been gaining on this notion that they're going to gain from Intel's woes. I know you downgraded Intel last week. Do those gains continue, Vivek? Does Intel continue to sort of give share to others?
Sure. When we look at cloud computing overall, I think this is still the best place to be. You are exposed to the most reliable customers on the planet, right? Not just in tech, but these are the most reliable customers. They're investing in AI is mission critical to them. And it's not just the cloud customers. You just had Recursion Pharmaceuticals on before this segment. They are building one of the fastest supercomputers on the planet to invest in drug discovery, and they're partnering with NVIDIA for that. So I think this is a very broad, market phenomena. Now, within cloud computing, our favorites are NVIDIA and Broadcom. Once we get outside of NVIDIA and Broadcom, because there is a rising tide, I think that's going to give a lift to other players in the industry, whether it is AMD, whether it is Marvell. Intel is definitely behind in this race. They did not invest at the right time. They're still trying to catch up on the manufacturing side. So I think they have a tough few quarters ahead of them, and they really need the broader enterprise market, China market, and the PC market to recover. But our favorites in AI and cloud computing are NVIDIA and Broadcom.
Real quick, thank you very much, Joker Miner, for the $50 super chat. Bro, you did not have to do that. You're insane. But you just kicked Crypto KJ to Sunday. Fully Electric, thanks for the 5 gifted memberships, dude. You're insane. Crypto Kirk got one, the Toxic Miner, Ziege Miner, Mining Meister, and Miner of All Coins. Congrats, guys. Make sure you link your YouTube with Discord, and you'll get access to the VIP chat. Oh, that's great. That's a riot, dude. Fully Electric, cut it out. Thank you again, bro. You guys are insane. You're all insane, every single one of you. Fully Electric, 5 gifted memberships again, dude, making it 10. And Jug 2 gifted 5 memberships as well, dude. You guys are insane. Random Miner, we have Tradewin, Bees, MC Crypto Junkie, Chris Nichols, F Lorian, let's see, Alvidus got one, Black Sales, dude. You guys are awesome. Markle Cartwright, the Worm Crypto. Dude, I love that name. Scott A. Congrats to everybody.
Is there a shot that
You're insane.
Intel
Thank you,
loses
guys.
any of its CHIPS Act money, Vivek?
Happy Friday.
That's hard for me to say. I think what's important to know is that we are all for more domestic manufacturing. I think the fact that we are so dependent on Taiwan is definitely a risk factor. Now, the question becomes, how do we get that manufacturing in the US? It will have to be some combination of Taiwan Semi, Samsung, and Intel, because these are really the three companies that know how to do leading edge processors, and they have the capability to do that in the US. Intel is falling behind in that, and I imagine that CHIPS Act will have certain milestones in place to make sure that all the investments that are being put in place, there's actually a return on them. So it's hard to say what happens to CHIPS Act, but on their earnings call, Intel definitely indicated a strong commitment to their manufacturing in the US.
We're going to be so screwed. Chip shortages are coming if they're not already really, really bad. Joker Miner, dude, cut the shit. Thank you so much. Perfect. 5 gifted memberships. Again, Corey, we have GT, 4J, Shooter McGavin, and Brad. Congrats, guys. I am never going to see the profits from this this AL box ever again. All you guys are just going to have it for the next upcoming days. I'm going to do a cycle of people in the VIP chat. Whoever's in my Discord, I'm going to cycle you guys out. So every day I'm going to go to another person, and then I'll rotate it back just because it's my way to get back to you guys. All right, let's see. Volatility should continue as markets are very vulnerable to economic data, if I could say that right. I almost just completely butchered that word.
I think I just want to get your reaction first and foremost to that bounce that we saw yesterday off that initial jobless claims report. Do you have confidence that this is just a kind of resumption of the momentum that we saw, or do you see more volatility ahead? I'm just looking right here, a number of reports coming up, PCE, Fed minutes, Jackson Hole. I mean, there's so much other data points that could be market movers ahead.
Precisely, and that's the big question mark, how they are going to come through, right? Of course, we've had a great data point yesterday, but we had bad data points beforehand, and the market reaction shows you how vulnerable it is to positive or negative news coming through, right? And I worry that this is going to continue. So back a few weeks ago in our global quarterly outlook titled Weathering Volatility, we've been pointing out many reasons why the market should be, why you should expect volatility ahead. And some of these worries that we've had have come down after the big market reaction and the correction that we've had, but some are still still ahead of us, and we need to see how they are playing out, right?
All right.
I'm putting a link to Discord in the chat right now for anybody that's not in there. If you guys link your YouTube with Discord and you're a member, you will get access to the Holo Gang chat, and that's just like a private chat where you guys talk to me a lot more. I'm way more active in there. But yeah, sorry. All right, let me bump this up to 1.2 actually. I'll listen to this. Man, that was delayed AF. Unless Joker's just donated again. What in the hell? Man, that took forever to trigger, huh? My man DJ screaming up there. Freaking, that stream was the best. Totally missed DJ. I hope he's doing well. All right, let me
new report
bump this
I want
up.
to get to it. We're going to show one part of this report. You have a graphic that you share with us. According to your report, the markets are pricing in more EPS growth than the consensus is right now. Approximately 20% according to your proprietary data. That's the markets compared to the estimates of just about 15%. What does that say about sentiment? What does that possibly say about volatility going forward?
The caveat about this chart is it's the US market.
Dude, Patrick Revy said her voice sounds like she's a text-to-speech robot from Windows 95. She does. Oh my God.
Market, not the global equity market, right? So this is our proprietary model that tries to capture what kind of EPS outlook is priced in by the market. So back a month ago, US market was pricing in double the EPS growth of what the analyst consensus has been expecting, right?
That's
so
great.
You could have argued it's too exuberant, too expensive. Now the market has come down 10%. We've had a meaningful correction. Now the US market is pricing in, yes, slightly above the analyst forecast, but the reporting season in the US has been pretty good, right? So you could say the market is more fairly priced. But what is interesting, markets outside of the US, like Japan or Europe, where I especially concentrate on, from pricing in above consensus analyst EPS growth, is now pricing below. So what that means is if you're bearish on the global outlook, and let's not forget the US economy is slowing down, right? It's been slowing down for quite a few months right now. So if you're worried about this outlook and you think the analysts are too bullish, that means that there is a buffer that has opened opened up for Europe or for Japan, Japanese equities to absorb these downgrades. Now, if it turns out global growth is intact and everything is going to be okay, then of course these markets have moved down too much, pricing in too much of bad news.
That's a pretty crucial if right there. Just important to note, we were showing it a second ago. You are overweight on the U.S. market. If you don't mind, I want to bounce something off of you from a note that came out earlier this week from Strategis. I know you have your own research, but I just want to get your take on this. According to this note, it says going back to 1990, the average inter-year drawdown for the S&P is just about 15%. We're about halfway through the historical average, excluding the macro that's been associated with this sell-off. NVIDIA is set to report towards the later half of this month, which may be the final arbiter for the direction of the AI trade and the broader market. Of course, the AI trade's powered the market a lot this year. That NVIDIA report, is that also one of the next big inflections for this market in your mind?
Look, I think the market is going to start moving back to the mindset of looking at what the earnings outlook is going to be, what the economic data is going to be, where the momentum is going. And of course, the biggest part of the growth coming from the US market has been coming from the tech sector, right? So definitely all the big tech names reporting better or worse numbers than expected is very, very important. Now, to the point, to the quote you've made, of course, what it tells you is that corrections are a natural thing in the market. We have a 10% plus correction almost every single year, right, for the last 30 years. Now, we have this framework that is called bear market checklist, which tries to differentiate between just another correction you buy into or the correction you sell because it's the beginning of the next bear market. Right now, our bear market checklist is telling us buy into it. However, one thing that worries me, and that's to do with tech and NASDAQ, is that positioning after the sell-off has not come down completely, right? It's still at elevated levels in this growthy part of the market, meaning it's vulnerable to bad news. That's all.
He's like, all right. Shut up. All right. All right. JP Morgan's recession outlook. Actually, we're going to listen to Jamie Dimon in a second, too. Freaking dude's a boob. An hour ago, this was posted. Let's do it.
JP Morgan Chase now seeing a U.S. or global recession before the year end as a little bit more likely than it previously did. A 35% chance versus a 25%
This kid in the background
chance previously. But still, that's a greater chance that it won't happen. The bank puts the chance of a recession before the end of next year at close to about 50-50. Joining us now is Bruce Kasman. He is JP Morgan chief economist and managing director. Bruce, great to have you on. And I hope I made that point that while you do see a slightly increased chance, I'm no math whiz, but I know that 35% is not a majority percent chance.
Totally right. And I want to emphasize what we're arguing is that there is some signs of things happening here which are raising some concern for us, particularly as we're slowing the labor market. There's some signs that we're starting to see some job shedding behavior, some shift in business behavior, which is giving us concern. But our baseline is still to think that we make this orderly transition from an economy that was growing quite strong last year to something that's still growing at a solid pace. What I want to emphasize is there's another thing going on here, which is the risks around inflation shift as the labor market eases, as we start to see wage gains moderate, as we're seeing still strong supply side performance. So from my point of view, the modest change in recession risk is interacting with the change in inflation pressures coming from the labor market that has a much bigger effect on interest rates. And I think the big story about the last few weeks is how the interest rate outlook changes, how the Fed path changes, as they have, I think, a lot of news that's going to shift them away from the gradualism they've been guiding thus far.
And what would be the biggest one? Is it that we're seeing a slight uptick in unemployment rate? Is it that we're seeing a slowdown in job creation? Are you worried about U.S. household debt, $1.1 trillion in credit card debts? Bruce, if you had to pick one or two things that are kind of main on your watch list, what would it be?
So I think the main thing here is business behavior, and there's a number of things that obviously influence it, including high interest rates, including the fact that we've lost some momentum in the global manufacturing sector. And
John English Tech said this guy is the best last name. Bruce Kasman. Is that because of Caspa, pun on Caspa?
Question is that we see a moderation in labor demand. That's to be expected. Over 200,000 job growth were going to be sustained. But as we downshift to that, do businesses start feeling a need to shed workers? That's where the risk to the consumer comes. That's where the risk to the broader economy comes. And again, there's some hints of that. I don't want to argue that that's been taking hold in a big way, but something has shifted here that certainly has gotten us somewhat more concerned.
What would be the one thing that you would like to see? Is there anything that, is it a rate cut? Is it some sort of larger quantitative, back-end quantitative easing program? Is there anything the government can do to mitigate those recession chances from 35% back to 25%?
Well, I think there's two issues here. One is what's in the oven right now as a result of Fed policy, as a result of a whole set of things happening in the economy. These things probably can't be changed by the Fed over the next few months. So I think the first thing we want to see is some calm in terms of how the next labor market reports play out, how the consumer spending plays out, and just see that the economy is settling into something more moderate, but not actually breaking. That'd be the first thing. The second thing, as I said, with some of the inflation risk profile shifting in the labor market as well, the supply side doing well, to get the Fed to move earlier and put us on a path here where we're going to have a level adjustment, I would argue, about 100 basis points sometime in the next few months from the Fed. That changes financial market conditions. It shifts the profile on growth into next year, and it allows this moderation of growth to be more well established at a solid pace as we look into 2025.
But if we loosen financial conditions, couldn't that re-spark inflation?
Sure, and that's what's been holding the Fed back right now. And I think, again, we're talking about a move from what is a restrictive policy stance to something that's less restrictive. I'm not convinced at this stage that a move from, let's say, 5.5 on the policy rate to 4.5 is going to be followed by something like a move to 3 or below, which the markets are starting to price in. But I think the argument for rebalancing risks by taking a level adjustment down, doing it earlier and not doing quite as gradually is, I think, the big shift that's taking place here. And I think that can and probably will have a positive impact on the outlook as we look into 25, if we're not breaking now. And of course, we come back to this original point that there's some things to be concerned about in what we see in the latest data.
Interesting. All right, let's listen to this boob talk about some stuff over here. JP Morgan CEO on inflation getting back to 2%. I'm a little bit of a skeptic on that too. Now, what else isn't he a skeptic on?
Oh, you mentioned kind of the probability of a soft landing. I know that last time we sat down about 6 months ago, back in February, you pegged the odds of a soft landing at about half of what the market was pricing in. The market was pricing in about 70 to 80% at the time. So by that math, you predicted about a 35 to 40% chance of a soft landing. Given what we've seen with the data, the jobs report last week and some of the other data in the last few days, do you still expect about a 35 to 40% chance of a soft landing, or do you think it's less than that?
Yeah, about the same. You know, I mean, first of all, it's always good to look at the odds of what you think as opposed to like get set and say that's the one thing that's going to happen. And, you know, there's always a large range of outcomes, and we will all get through that. You know, and so I'm fairly optimistic that we have a mild recession, even a harder one, will be okay. Of course, I'm very sympathetic to people who lose their jobs. You know, you don't want a hard landing, and so but there's a lot of uncertainty out there, and I've always pointed to geopolitics. I also think the deficits, the spending, the quantitative tightening, the elections, all these things cause some consternation in markets, and so we'll have to wait and see. You know, does inflation really get back to 2%? I'm a little bit of a skeptic on that too, and I don't look as much at the short-term data as about the things that are inflationary but are in the future: deficit spending, green economy, remilitarization of the world, and they haven't really happened yet, but they are going to happen, and they're not deflationary.
Given that prediction, I know that JP Morgan economists are expecting now a 50 basis point cut in September and November and 25 basis points thereafter. Do you think if the Fed were to do that, it would be a mistake given some potential enduring effects of inflation? Yeah,
I mean, I hate to say this, I don't think it matters as much as other people think. You know, the rate effect itself isn't that critical. And obviously, psychologically, there'd be a lot of chatter about what does it mean? What are they thinking? Are things getting bad? So, and maybe that psychological will affect the economy. But I also remind people every day, 325 million Americans go to work, go to their jobs, take care of their families, take care of their kids, build out their house, change a job. And it could be affected by the Fed changing rates by 50 basis points. I don't think so. So if they do it, I'm sure they have good reason to do it. And I'll rely on with their instincts. So I do expect they'll probably do it soon, but they've seen more negative data than they had expected. But it goes back to expectations. All the expectations have been wrong too. So just always keep that in the back of your mind.
If they were to cut by that magnitude, though, does that risk more of a stagflationary environment, which is something you've been warning about?
No. No, I mean, stagflation would be a recession with a little bit of inflation. So I think what they do in the short run may or may not directly affect that. Obviously, all things being equal, it reduces the chance or the depth of a recession, but I don't know if it affects really what might happen down the road in terms of stagflation.
One of the
They cut him off pretty quick. Interesting. All right, moving on to CNBC Crypto World. XRP Pops as a court order Ripple's to pay $125 million. You guys already know about this. And again, Ripple is like soft porn, gets you all excited and then just fails. All right, let's do it.
Today, Bitcoin pops as new data waves off fears of a weakening U.S. labor market. A judge orders Ripple Labs to pay about $125 million to the SEC, but that's less than the regulator wanted. And Ripple's chief legal officer, Stuart Alderodi, talks to us about that ruling.
Chris Hanley, what's up, dude? Good to see you, buddy.
Perfect. Welcome to CNBC's Crypto World. I'm Mackenzie Sigalos.
Holy shit, that outfit's crazy today.
Cryptocurrencies are surging this morning, with Bitcoin popping 6% by noon Eastern. Ether is also rising alongside Bitcoin, gaining nearly 4%. And Ripple's native XRP token climbed a whopping 22% after the company was hit with $125 million in penalties in its case with the SEC. Now, that figure is a fraction of what the agency was seeking in its legal battle with Ripple. More on that in just a second. Now, this crypto bounce coincides with a rally on Wall Street as investors breathe a sigh of relief for the U.S. economy. New jobs data out this morning soothed fears of a weakening U.S. labor force, and Wall Street's more hopeful now that we'll avoid a recession. Taking a quick look at where crypto...
Wait, they still have people putting cars together like that?
Economy. New jobs data...
Like this? I thought robots did all that shit now.
Out this morning soothed fears of...
That's so not efficient, I feel like.
A weakening U.S. labor force, and Wall Street's more hopeful now that we'll avoid a recession. Taking a quick look at where crypto-focused stocks stand at 12:45 Eastern, Coinbase jumped about 6.5%, MicroStrategy nearly 5%, while miners Riot and Marathon Digital both gained 8.5%. Taking a look at two companies that reported earnings yesterday after the bell, Robinhood and Core Scientific, they are in the green. Robinhood reported cryptocurrency revenues that grew 161% from a year earlier to $81 million, while the company's overall net income grew to $188 million in the quarter compared to just $25 million a year earlier.
Holy
Meanwhile,
shit.
Core Scientific reporting a net loss of $805 million as the company doubles down on AI and continues to retrofit its mining sites with high-powered computing hardware.
God damn.
Okay, let's talk about the top stories.
That's crazy. Real quick, Nismo Miner said there's a robot to human ratio laws. Is there really? I mean, I guess that would make sense, actually.
Federal court ordered FTX and its sister company Alameda to pay nearly $13 billion back to customers. In a filing on Wednesday, the judge in the Southern District of New York approved a consent order directing the two companies to pay a combined $12.7 billion to creditors. Now, that payout would end a lawsuit brought by the CFTC back in December of 2022, shortly after SBF's crypto empire collapsed. This order also prohibits FTX and its sister hedge fund from trading digital assets in the future. Next, a federal judge ordered Ripple Labs to pay the SEC about $125 million in penalties, much less than the $2 billion that the agency had sought in a legal battle that began about 4 years ago.
$2 billion they wanted, and they settled for $125 million. That's a win. 100%, that's a win.
The civil penalty is related to charges of improperly selling its XRP token to institutional investors. Now, you might remember in July of last year, U.S. District Judge Annalisa Torres in Manhattan granted Ripple a partial win in the case, finding that sales of XRP on public exchanges were not considered unregistered securities offerings. The judge subsequently rejected a request by the SEC to appeal that ruling. Now, yesterday evening, Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse reacted to the decision, writing that the SEC had asked for $2 billion and the court reduced the agency's demand by about 94%, quote, recognizing that they had overplayed their hand. He called the ruling a victory for Ripple, the industry, and the rule of law, adding that the SEC's headwinds against the whole of the XRP community are gone. All right, for more on that order in the Ripple case, I spoke to the company's chief legal officer, Stuart Alderodi. He also took to X yesterday, calling the order a final judgment. He wrote that the court rejects the SEC's suggestion that Ripple acted recklessly and reminds the agency that this case did not involve any allegations of fraud or intentional wrongdoing and that no one suffered any financial harm. When speaking with Alderodi this afternoon, he reacted to the judgment and explains what's next for Ripple. So I saw your post on X yesterday reacting to a judge fining Ripple $125 million after ruling that institutional sales of XRP violated federal securities laws. Now, you called the SEC's request for $2 billion in fines and penalties an absurd demand and wrote that you actually respect that $125 million fine that the court has imposed. How are you feeling about this final outcome to a long and protracted legal battle with the SEC?
We're feeling really good about it. Ripple, when it was first sued by the SEC almost 4 years ago, said that we were going to defend this case not only on our own behalf, but on behalf of the entire crypto industry. This administration, with this SEC under this chair, has clearly taken an anti-crypto stance and has engaged in a war on crypto that's playing out in the courts. I think they lost on everything that was important to them. Trying to establish that a token itself, in this case XRP, can be considered a security was soundly rejected by the court. And what the court said is a token is never a security in and of itself, just like a bar of gold is never a security. You can certainly package commodities or virtual currencies up and sell them as securities, but they're not securities in and of themselves. And that's the core clarity that we sought in this case, and the establishing that XRP is not in and of itself a security is the law of the land. What the judge did find is that certain historical sales, beginning around 2015, the way that those sales were packaged with sophisticated third parties, they should have been registered under the securities laws. And that's the piece of the decision that we respect. The judge rejected a $2 billion ask from the SEC because she found that Ripple didn't act recklessly. We didn't act with any intention to defraud anybody. And in fact, there were no victims. The counterparties to those transactions suffered no financial loss at all. But staying true to the law, since there was a technical violation of the failure to register those historical sales, she did impose a fine of $125 million. That's something that we will pay with cash off of our balance sheet, and we look forward to moving forward. And hopefully this turns a page not only for Ripple, but also hopefully finally this administration will turn the page on their war on crypto and hit the reset button.
Let's
Moshe had $125 million in cash.
talk about some of the next steps here. By when is Ripple obligated to pay that fine? And when that happens, is that the end of this chapter that started back in December 2020 when the SEC slapped Ripple with charges? Or do you expect an appeal from the SEC? Can that even happen at this stage? Or are we finally done with this legal battle?
Well, in our minds, we are finally done. The fine pursuant to the court's order needs to be paid in 30 days, and we will do that. The SEC certainly has the option to pursue an appeal. I think they've got 60 days to make that determination. But again, we're focused on the finality that this order gives Ripple. We want to focus on continuing to grow our business, both globally and domestically. We like the clarity that this lawsuit and the outcome of this lawsuit has provided to us, and that's where we're going to be focused on. And again, if the SEC is a rational actor, and they are, and this administration truly is serious about hitting the reset button on their war on crypto, there should be no appeal, and everybody should be moving on.
Now, a lot of people saw the initial ruling on XRP as a big win, not just for Ripple, but the crypto ecosystem as a whole. You run Ripple's legal team. Any big takeaways on what this means for your company in particular, and also the industry more broadly?
Yeah, I think...
Real quick, Fully Electric said, I still think they should not pay anything because they had no way to register their offering since the SEC did not provide any guidelines, and I totally agree with that. He said, I think they will pay just to get it over with, and I agreed there too. It's it's unfortunate. The SEC needs to friggin' just put out flat rules. If everybody had rules to follow, or guidelines to follow, this wouldn't be a freaking issue.
I think it has a tremendous impact, positive, for Ripple, and a tremendous impact, positive, for the industry more broadly. Ripple, when we were first sued in December of 2020, as I noted earlier, we said, look, we're going to defend this case not only because we think that allegations that are being made against our company are wrong-minded, and we think ultimately they're not going to be able to survive judicial scrutiny, but we're going to defend it on behalf of the entire crypto industry because we knew that we were the tip of the sword. We knew that the SEC would start with Ripple and then start working their way down and bring litigation and lawsuits and enforcement actions against the rest of the industry. I'm not sure everyone believed us 4 years ago. Everyone believes us now because that's exactly the playbook that the SEC has sought to advance. And what do we now know? We know through our case, the court has found that the SEC was not engaging in a faithful allegiance to the law. That's a quote. We know in the Bitcoin ETF case, another court found that the SEC was acting arbitrarily and capriciously. We know that there was a federal judge in Utah that sanctioned the SEC for engaging in outright fraudulent misrepresentations to the court. So this war on crypto has really skewed the SEC's core mission and skewed their commitment to kind of stick to their lanes and their jurisdiction. And what we need as a country is to hit the reset button. And what we really should be focusing on is creating clear laws, rules, and regulations so this industry can thrive in the United States, just as it is thriving outside of the United States.
Now, a lot of this goes back to the same issue that industry players have been talking about for years, something that you've brought up a couple of times just today. There are no hard and fast rules on crypto from Congress, and absent that, the SEC has been seen as policing the space through these enforcement actions. We have seen some progress in D.C. with Fit 21, but still, the U.S. doesn't have a clear framework. We're about to have a change in the White House. How are you navigating the continued legal ambiguity in the states? Are you, considering decamping abroad, or are you finding ways to make it work here in the U.S.?
Well, since December of 2020, Ripple has grown our business exponentially, but 90% of that growth has occurred offshore in Singapore, in the EU, in London, in Dubai, in Brazil, all under regulatory supervision and with regulatory permission. Unfortunately, the ability to grow our business in the U.S. has been hamstrung, and the ability to grow crypto in the U.S. has been hamstrung. So these jobs, these tax dollars, these great minds that are backing and developing this innovation, they're all moving offshore. So we need a clear set of laws, rules, and regulations in the U.S. for crypto. The SEC appointing themselves, self-appointing themselves as the crypto cop on the beat for this industry has been a failed strategy. As we prove it in our case, their jurisdictional reach has limits, and they can't supervise industries, or they can't supervise transactions that are not in and of themselves security transactions. And simply calling crypto securities because you want to supervise it doesn't make crypto a security, and that's what we have established clearly in our case. So we're very invested in a good policy outcome. We engage on both sides of the aisle on this, and we're hoping, again, that the combination of our litigation outcome, the combination of the election season we're in, we can really see a reset button here, and we can finally move away from wasting tax dollars on victimless charges in courts and building a rational and practical framework for the crypto industry in the United States.
I apologize for not speeding that up. That guy talks slow as shit. All right, moving on. Crypto holders, everyone is so wrong about this market. Let's see what Altcoin Daily's got to say again. I know you guys don't like this, but I'm catching myself up on everything.
And I am curious. You've got Bitcoin, you've got Ether, you're leading the market there. Are you done? Are we going to see a BlackRock Solana ETF?
Big news today involving Solana, involving XRP.
The judge wrote XRP is not a security.
Lower cap altcoins.
We are mining
CAS, but in addition to Bitcoin.
Watch today's whole video, but we got to start with Bitcoin. As Bitcoin again near $60,000 as the crypto bounce accelerates, people are asking why.
Morgan Stanley is the largest wealth management firm, I guess, in the world at this point, but certainly in the United States. They've got 15,000 registered reps who were just given the green light to buy 2 different Bitcoin ETFs. One is Fidelity's and the others is the iShares product.
And yes, we spoke about the significance of Morgan Stanley in yesterday's video. This accelerates adoption in a big way.
I don't know if they will necessarily adopt it at a high rate or very quickly, but what I do know is this is like the last taboo. When large wealth management firms, big investment banks on Wall Street are giving the green light to their wealth management advisors to allocate, it's only going to be a matter of time before it gets more traction. And that would be my bet. So I think Bryn is making a good move here. The price could do anything in the next 24 hours. I have no idea if it's a great price to buy, but just directionally, we know that more adoption, not less, is what's going to be likely in the next 6 months.
So here are all the wirehouses that are...
Yeah, it was this recent pullback was an absolute opportunity for BlackRock and all these ETF guys to pitch sales to new clients. Like, listen, this thing just pulled back. It's going to rip back up. Now's the time. You know what I mean?
Ranked by advisory assets. And Morgan Stanley has just become the first wirehouse to be able to start offering Bitcoin ETFs. Wells Fargo is expected to be next. But in terms of where the Bitcoin price is headed, 2 days ago, everybody was screaming further collapse, expect a recession. Obviously, the US Treasury had to step in. Now, the sentiment seems to be changing bullish to truly get a sense of where this price will be in the short term. It all comes down to macro.
Well, I think you got to look at the facts that we actually have, which is...
Peter Krause of Aperture Investors explains where we really are, taking stock of the macro climate today.
One, for the last, 3 or 4 weeks before the sell-off, the Mag 7 stocks were actually reasonably unstable. You know, they became much more volatile. They showed significant moves, daily moves. And then we had this economic number. Unemployment went from 4.1 or 4.2 to 4.3, and everybody thought the world was coming to an end.
Right.
Of course, 3 days later, we got ISM numbers, and the ISM numbers, which were supposed to be contractions, actually showed expansion. And of course, all of a sudden, the world just decided that we're in a recession, it's a hard landing, and you have to sell everything. Really, what I think is going on is that the market is kind of non-directional right now, meaning there's not a lot of natural buying in the market or natural selling. And investors are trying to wait to see what actually is happening in the economy. Or if you look at earnings, you have some earnings that are strong and some earnings that are weak. It's not a consistent story. There are some industries that are weaker, auto, being one, but there's some industries that are actually doing pretty well. So I think what's happening is that momentum is taking over and people are selling the positions they have. They feel mispositioned in a market that's obviously volatile. And so you're getting these big daily moves. I think we're likely to see that probably continue until September.
And what happens in September?
So about 45 more days until the Fed has a chance to lower rates.
Well, the Fed's going to say something or do something.
And the economy is on pins and needles on how big the rate cuts will need to be.
Okay, but let's assume that they cut by 25 basis points. How does the market react to that? And let's assume that they cut by 50 basis points. How does the market react to that?
So I think we have to add a few more assumptions. Let's assume, first of all, take the 50 basis points. Let's assume they cut by 50 basis points, and you continue to see weaker economic data.
Okay.
I think the market will conclude, actually, this is not a soft landing, it's a hard landing.
And there's even a bigger problem at hand.
There's a bigger underlying issue that people haven't recognized, and I think the market will sell off. But by the way, that will create a buying opportunity because then you're sort of at the end. If they cut by 25 basis points and we see this sort of good data, bad data, but kind of in a modest direction, then we're either going to continue with this volatility or the market will conclude they're going to make it. It's a soft landing.
So long-term bullish, anything possible short-term. And fundamentally, Ripple just had a major victory. $125 million fine for Ripple, Judge Torres officially ends the SEC lawsuit with the conclusion, officially, XRP is not a security. Perfect. And if this all sounds familiar, this is the official extension, or I should say conclusion. This is the conclusion to what we saw a few months ago.
The SEC clearly lost as a matter of law, and the judge wrote, XRP is not a security, as a kind of intrinsic thing. In certain circumstances, which is kind of a narrow definition around institutional sales, it could be a security.
So the case is officially closed, and I'm sure the SEC will refer to this as a win for getting a $125 million penalty from Ripple. But that's really a win for Ripple as far as James Seyffart is concerned, and an L for the SEC's regulation via enforcement stance. The SEC did not get what they want, and in the statement from Brad Garlinghouse, the SEC asked for $2 billion, and the court reduced their demand by about 94%, recognizing that they had overplayed their hand. We respect the court's decision and have clarity to continue growing our company. So that explains why XRP was up over 17% in the last day, beating Bitcoin's gains. Although just be prepared, an appeal by the SEC is expected, potentially extending the legal proceedings. And in Solana news, Solana ETF approved by Brazilian SEC. So this is a spot Solana ETF, and following its approval by the Brazilian regulator, the ETF is in a pre-operational phase, awaiting approval by the Brazilian stock exchange B3. This will be demand pressure on the asset, of course, not as big as US approval, but this is still a small and significant victory, and the same steps we saw before the Bitcoin ETF was approved in America, the Ethereum ETF was approved in America. They have usually gotten approved in Brazil first, then Canada, then the US. And Caspa hash rate is going insane right now, meaning more and more miners are supporting the network.
And we're also very focused on diversifying our business. And this is where our business becomes more resilient than your pure play Bitcoin miner, right? We are mining Caspa in addition to Bitcoin. Why should we mine Caspa? Well, on a per kilowatt basis, we earn more mining Caspa than we do Bitcoin. It's not to say we're going to abandon mining Bitcoin. It simply means that we found other revenue streams that generate higher margins that allow us to subsidize our cost to mine Bitcoin, subsidize our SG&A costs, and even acquire Bitcoin in the marketplace, like we did a few weeks ago when we went in the market and bought $100 million of Bitcoin at the last dip. And so we are very opportunistic. We love to accumulate Bitcoin.
And a few of you.
So again, I mentioned that a long time ago when we were first seeing these Caspa miners. I was like, why? Like, if you get the Caspa, you know, KS3 or whatever it was back then, I was like, dude, that's like the most efficient Bitcoin miner in a sense, right? Like, you're paying stupid little electricity and you can just swap it right into Bitcoin if you wanted to make Bitcoin that fast, right? And it's, I mean, obviously that's what they're doing. But the profitability, because the hash rate's so high, is going to shit. So it's like, yeah, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't type deal.
You were asking me about this, so I want to cover. If you have a different altcoin, comment down below. I want to cover in future videos. But Hamster Combat.
Oh my fucking god. Shilling some fucking bullshit. I hate that about this channel.
You need. Anybody looking to hang out next week?
No, no one's looking to hang out. All right, well, that's it, I guess. That is it. We're gonna move on. There we go. There we go. All right, getting the recap segment of things. Sorry guys for dragging you through that. Let's see. Bitcoin, 60,257 bucks. Hell yeah, dude. Can you guys imagine that this thing hit $49,000 on Monday? What in the hell? It's crazy how big the swings are on Bitcoin, but again, it's normal. It's very, very normal. Fully Electric said, CCXD, also remember the recent 5.6% reward drop on Caspa. Yeah, doesn't that shit happen every single month? They drop some sort of what's it called? What do they call it? Oh, I don't know the word. They like shave a little off every month instead of doing it once a year or whatever, every couple of years. Lukewarm, what's up, dude? Good to see you. Yeah, sad face. Yeah, it sucks, dude. It does suck for sure. Ethereum's at 25.90. Again, Caspa over here at 16.39. But listen, the rewards being reduced every single month for Caspa makes it I think it's going to prolong the or it's going to force the price of this coin up, right? Because people aren't getting as much, which is going to force these companies to make bigger machines, and it's going to keep the ecosystem kind of pushed forward. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. It's very interesting to say the least, but it's nice to see that these big companies like Marathon Digital and stuff are actually mining Caspa to subsidize the whole Bitcoin profitability right now. Because guys, listen, all right, I said I wasn't going to do it, but I'm going to do it. My S19K right now is literally negative $1.68 a day.
Bruh.
That is so terrible. $1.68 I'm losing a day, and that's at 10 cents per kilowatt hour. You imagine I was paying 30. I pay 30 at my house. $14 a day I'd be losing. I mean, these big guys though, they only pay like 2 cents, 4 cents maybe. Let's say 2 cents. So even at, like, say they pay 2 cents, they're still getting like $3 a day on one of these little machines, right? I mean, the older machines are real shit, but I don't know. We're gonna have to see what happens, but it's nice to see again Caspa kind of helping out to the big facilities. It's neat. It's very neat. All right, let's see. Crypto Bubble's biggest earner in the day. Anybody just joining? Looks like Celestia took the top place, 20%, 20.4 at $5.65. Sui is at 19.6% up on the day, 85 cents, and Crow's 15.1 to 9 cents, almost 9.5. It's getting up there. Zcash actually is doing pretty good, 13.1%, $37.65. Not too bad. And again, Flashbang Fear and Greed Index is at a 48. We were at a 20 yesterday. We don't want it to go too fast, because yeah, a pullback is inevitable when that happens. But guys, listen, I appreciate you all. You're all fantastic. It is Friday. I'm gonna leave you guys with this. I hope you guys have a great, happy, and safe Friday. Enjoy your payday, and until next time, I'll catch you guys then. Peace out. I'll see you tomorrow night, actually. Misfit Mining Saturday Night Live. Later.
I wanna hold on till I can't no more.
Have a happy and safe Friday, everybody. Don't spend all your money in one place. If you do, buy Bitcoin. And remember,
if she don't hawk to her, we don't talk to her.
Perfect.